might ask one actually.
Go ahead, Al.
Greg, I mean, that was refreshing, honest assessment of where we are. Is BIM suited for every project?
Are you saying refreshing and honest? I now know I've insulted a whole heap.
No.
I appreciate your feedback. I don't think it is.
No.
And I think in terms of the cost, their real costs, I mean, I didn't make them up. Our quantity surveyors were asked that particular question.
Yeah.
And they ripped right the way back through the model, and they asked themselves the question, what would we have done if we hadn't tried to do this to BIM level 2 in accordance with the EA or AI or an OIR that we set out? And they calculated it out. I trust their figure on it. And it felt like it.
Okay.
It actually felt like it during the project. So I don't, in terms of answer of your question, and Anne alluded to this earlier, until everybody gets to do this together as a in a collaborative environment, I don't think BIM is for everyone. So kind of akin to autonomous vehicles. Until everybody's driving them, it's not safe.
So
in my view.
The theory is it shouldn't cost any more, it should cost less.
I don't know how that could happen right now.
No. Well, it shouldn't, if BIM becomes routine business, then it certainly shouldn't add significantly to the bottom capital cost. Anyway, that's just my view on it. But,
That's.
and I'm an academic, so yeah.
I'd say in practice, and after many years of having teams working on projects like this, there's no question, but working in the digital space requires higher competence.
Right.
It requires earlier development and consistency in modelling for it to be successful. And therefore you're requiring higher caliber people. You have to develop your designs to a higher standard. You have to work with the operator and facilities manager if you're going to get it right. And if you don't, you're going to end up probably with no great benefits at the end. So the life cycle is where the benefits should come, not just in the initial phase where you're spending 7 or 8% on developing your project. It should come during there should be savings, and the theory is in your capital cost, but the real savings come over the lifetime. And I don't see, and we don't see digital and working in that space as something that just brings benefits during the construction stage. And I think we all have to begin to think about the whole cycle.
Sorry, just to circle back on one part to conclude my answer to it. Anand is doing a phenomenal exercise with our facilities and services team at the moment to demystify the BIM model we've created. To take out all of the steel that's in the basement that nobody needs to see because we'll never see it again unless we're demolishing. Take away all the repetition of all the plates and all of the information that isn't useful to us.
Yeah.
And I asked Anand this morning, can I see what goes onto the editing room floor when he's finished? Because I think it's going to be substantial. When we strip out this model and we stupefy it, I want to see what's on the editing room floor and price it. And I'll tell you how much of the money we spent on it actually ends up going into the bin.
Could I just add to that we shouldn't forget that other people have generated this paperwork and this information, and they may have had value. So you're talking from the point of view of a client. So in terms of, say, a successful contractor using BIM and the type of information that they need in terms of a consultant protecting the client against claims and the evidence that you need in order to do that, one must, I know it's only the beginning of the life of the structure, but some of those things are necessary. So even though it ends up on the cutting room floor, don't discount it completely.
Question over here. Can we get a microphone to the lady here?
Hi, my name is Glenn O'Sullivan. I work in the Smart City section of Dublin City Council. But as you see, when the logos come up again, the QS department of Dublin City Council are very active, specifically Mary Flynn. And she is a one-woman campaign to bring, the planning process and the building process up to date with technology. And in future, the use of BIM is going to save people time and money because they'll be able, developers and clients and all, people will be able to submit their model into the planning process before they actually have a finished model. and therefore they'll be told what's wrong with it and what it needs to do to comply with building regulations and so on and so on. So I know it's at a very early stage, but like effectively, for example, planning permission process, it's like 5 generations of technology out of date. So bringing it up to date is a big ask, but it will be worth it in the end, because, you know, from the point of view of myself and Veronica, who are both, Roger would be glad to know, graduates of Trinity Engineering School, we're working in smart cities where we're trying to use innovation and new technologies and so on to improve the services offered to the citizens of Dublin. And all this use of BIM and having the information there from the beginning of the life cycle of building will bring huge improvements to the lives of citizens and the environment of the city and so on. So, sorry, it's not really a question, I just wanted to put, you know, from the other point, from the local authority point of view.
I think that's a very useful perspective, because one of the bare bugs of our current systems in Ireland is the fact that everything in planning has to go in paper copy. And, you know, if ever there was a case or a need for digitalisation, the planning process should be absolutely digitalised yesterday. So I think that's a good point you're making. I'd like to ask the panel, in terms of innovations, what do we need to do to manage information better? Because what we're really talking about here is information in a digital model, which must be intelligently structured and intelligently used. Are we capturing the right information? Have we the technology to capture and use it efficiently if we talk about working within the whole life cycle?
I would say that the starting point is a recognition that information models are not restricted to a design tool. Most times we tend to use the term building information modeling and models and tools like Revit and ArchiCAD, and all in the same context. Design tools have a place, and information management systems need to use design tools as a data source and be much richer in terms of how it interacts with other data sources which are involved in the production of information during a design, construction, or operations phase. That mindset shift is critical, in my opinion.
Good.
I agree entirely. I think our industry is fantastic at producing data. We produce loads of it, but to turn it into information that we can really use, that's what we don't do so well at the moment. So we need some form of framework, some form of organisation to be able to access the information that we want, when we want it, how we want it, and we need a way to make all the different sources of data that feed into that information interoperable. That's so I'm agreeing and thinking that if we can get that framework in place, if we can get that interoperability in place, then we'll be able to get the value out of the information.
Can I say, in my office, when certain teams come in on a particular topic, I have a particular pile where I just take that information and I put it in the pile, and the pile builds up. And then at some stage I have to go to the pile and sort out the bits that are important and throw out the bits that are not. That's a lack of discipline on my part, and I think one of the things I hope I got across is that at a very early stage, the client needs to decide what they want, and through some type of platform, and with the assistance of the consultants and the contractor, have it at the forefront of their minds as to what information they need for their own purposes, which I've just highlighted a moment ago, and what's actually needed for the client to operate the facility. So that actually needs the people who are working with BIM on a daily basis to restructure their thinking a little bit, to think about what is it the client needs that I can put in an organised way, rather than building everything up and then trying to find the bits that are important. So if that happens at the earliest stage, and the client decides that this is part of the problem, the client doesn't always know what they want. So sometimes they need some help in that process as to how are you going to do this, how are you going to operate it, how is it going to interact with the facilities you already have and the information you have. So one of the things I hope I got across is early client engagement. Yep.
Okay.
A question here from John.
Yeah, John.
And I have a comment online as well.
John from BRE. Just a question for Alexandra. You mentioned in your presentation the development of a Gemini compliant digital twin. Just time frame for that, and where do you see that fitting into construction blockchain?
So a number of organisations have already signed up to the Gemini principle. So, for example, the government's Digital National Action Register said they're going to base on the Gemini principles. At least one of the initial 6 that are involved in the DT Hub have said that they will run their digital twin on Gemini principles. So it's happening already. It will evolve. We know the Gemini principles themselves will need to evolve as we find out quite how it works in practice. So it's starting now. Will it ever be finished? I think it's going to be a constantly evolving thing. So I don't think there'll be a point where we'll be able to say it's never going to change again. We'll be able to say it's up and running, it's working, but it will constantly evolve.
I have a comment here online, just a quick comment from Bernard Vortman of Cummins and Vortman. And he says that BIM is not an added cost, only the initial implementation is costly for newcomers, but certainly BIM is valid for all projects in our experience. So that's from Bernard.
Okay, it's a question down from at the far end of the room. Can we get a mic down there, please?
Good morning, Lloyd Scott from the Technological University of Dublin. Could I just thank the speakers this morning for excellent presentations and excellent detail in relation to what's happening in digital twins and how we can move forward. And I suppose my question is around kind of data, knowledge, expertise. And I'm just wondering, do any of the panellists have any views on how we develop that expertise? What can we do in terms of actually improving the process, and how do we help one another within a community of practice, if you like, to actually embed the technologies that are available to us.
Thanks for the question. I think it's very timely and it fits with what we're trying to do in the community of practice context. I think certainly it's about doing a number of things. It's about developing, as I mentioned earlier, I suppose more bespoke, tailored training programs that are very industry focused, that are driven by industry need, and are very clear and not obtuse. And also, I think it's very important that we create a system in Ireland where we're showcasing best practice, and we're not afraid to do that. And the champions and the pioneers of great technology and great people are prepared to mentor and help those that are not further along that path. But it's a very interesting question, and it comes back, I think, to that whole idea of information sharing and data. And I think all of this, like success in these type of initiatives and changes, their society, like this is fundamentally societal change. It's industry focused, but it's societal change. It's going to touch all of us. And I think it comes back to that thinking that it's driven by people. Like we will get to the level where technically we're competent and capable, but it comes back to change management and the people have to be set the point of it, and they have to drive it. You have to empower them and give them and but it's a very interesting question. I think it's fundamental to the success of both digital twin and manufacturing technologies, but also in a wider context and from facilities management and construction.
Yeah. I think it would benefit the industry a lot if educational institutions add a program around information modeling for construction. Building information modeling is a term, but really what we're doing today is building modeling. It's in geometry modeling with some of the schemas defined within design tools. So the ability to develop information models that drive different workflows, bring data-driven workflows in construction and operations is a huge gap. That talent is missing.
Barry?
Just to comment on that as well, in regards to the educational, I suppose some of the work being done in the education institutes isn't as visible and it's kind of kept quite silent. I know, for example, in TU Dublin, the MSc Applied Building Information Modelling and Management, the fourth year concentrates extremely heavily on the technology, and then the second year is completely about processes. It's bringing the student all the way through the whole processes, EIR, BEP, is ISO, so it's working within that bigger frame. And it's also making a lot of I know a lot of colleges as well are looking at interdisciplinary projects, so you have like civil engineering and quantity surveying and mechanical electrical engineering. They're all coming together and they're all working, and you're starting to see that bigger picture of, okay, hold on, it's not just my responsibility for producing this piece of data, because I know if I just do this in my silo, it's going to impact on quantifier because they can actually get profit money.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And there's a number of research projects in the area of Horizon 2020, the BIM cert, where we're trying to bring in micro modules where users can just log on and say, hey, this is particular to me, this is what I need to know, and start to educate those that are not able to get to the tour level as well and reach it there. I know in the UK they had Scotland, they had road shows where they went to different public sector bodies and they had a road show there and went into the details of the process, collaboration, and maybe it's taking the training to the public sector bodies and trying to get them to understand, I suppose, not just technology process.
Thanks, Barry. One question to a couple of the panel. Bill has spoke about the Centre of Excellence for Smart Manufacturing and how it's got various partners and participants, and Alexandra has talked about the Centre for Digital Design Britain, or Digital Build Britain, and clearly Science Foundation Ireland has funded Bill's programme, and government and industry has funded the Digital Build. To me, there is a gap in Ireland in that for a centre of excellence at the moment there is no clear funding and no clear hub for the AEC industry in this area. And I certainly think, and I think Alan and others think this as well, that there is a massive gap. Individual organisations pursuing individual programmes, that's fine, we're educating our people. The ITs and universities are producing educational programmes. But where's the driver for the move from the passive state that Barry has shown in his report to a proactive state which will deliver the benefits? And I personally think we're badly missing that in Ireland. And either government or Science Foundation Ireland needs to recognise this, because this industry, the AEC industry, on average accounts for about 14% of GDP worldwide. We're developing rapidly, and we need to be in the area of excellence, not on the coattails of something that's happening somewhere else. So with that, Alan, I'd pass over to you to wrap up, please.
Thank you. And if I could just impose on you all for another